In the hollow, crushing silence of the ancient world, we often assume there was only darkness. We peer back at the timeline of human history and perceive a linear progression, a slow, agonizing ascent from the flickering campfire to the torch, the oil lamp, and finally, after millennia of shadow, to the incandescent brilliance of the electric bulb. We maintain that the hum of electricity, the invisible pulse powering our global civilization, is a strictly modern triumph, a child of the 19th century, forged in the laboratories of Volta, Faraday, and Edison. But what if that narrative is incomplete? What if the timeline of progress is not a straight line, but a fractured circle? Scattered beneath the shifting sands of Iraq and concealed within the subterranean crypts of Egypt lie anomalous artifacts that defy conventional history. These objects function and behave with a mechanical logic that shouldn't exist for another 2,000 years. Are these merely ritualistic trinkets, misinterpreted by modern eyes, desperate for a reflection of themselves? Or is it possible that the ancients harnessed the electron long before we rediscovered its power? Tonight, we strip away the layers of accumulated dust and rigid dogma. We venture into the forbidden corners of archaeology, where the impossible becomes tangible. We investigate the jarring evidence of the Baghdad Battery and the haunting glow of the Dendera Lights. Did the ancients possess the secret of electricity? And if they did, why did the lights go out? To grasp the magnitude of this enigma, we must travel back to 1938, to the outskirts of Baghdad. The world stands on the precipice of total war, but in the quiet, shadowed halls of the National Museum of Iraq, Wilhelm Koenig, a German painter and amateur archaeologist, unearths a discovery that threatens the foundations of science. He isn't excavating the earth, he is scouring the museum's own archives, examining crates of artifacts recovered from a site known as Kujut Rabu. Amidst the common pottery shards and decorative beads, Koenig identifies something deceptively mundane, yet mechanically profound. It is an ochre-hued clay jar, standing a mere 14 centimeters high. To the casual observer, it is a simple vessel for oil or scrolls. But Koenig scrutinizes the interior. He looks past the clay. The architecture of this vessel is chillingly specific. Inside the clay jar, he finds a cylinder of rolled copper sheet. Suspended within that copper sleeve, held in place but never touching the sides, is a solitary iron rod. The mouth of the jar is sealed with bitumen, ancient asphalt, which serves a dual purpose. It secures the components and insulates the connections. Koenig, possessing an eye for mechanics, recognizes the configuration instantly. Copper, iron, an electrolyte reservoir, insulation. This is no mere vase. This is a galvanic cell. This is a battery. Dating to the Parthian or Sassanid periods, roughly 2 millennia ago, the object predates Alessandro Volta's chemical battery by over 1,500 years. The implications are staggering. If this is a power source, what did it drive? The site at Kujut Rabu yielded no copper wiring, no conductors, and no peripheral machinery. We are left with the engine, but the machine it powered has vanished into the ether. Mainstream archaeology offers a more grounded, ritualistic explanation. Scholars suggest these vessels were designed to house sacred scrolls, with the metal components eventually degrading into a chemical residue that merely mimics a battery's internal structure. Yet, the physical construction argues for intent. Why utilize two dissimilar metals? Why meticulously isolate them? Why seal them with asphalt in a configuration that perfectly mirrors the cathode and anode
of a modern power cell. If you fill this jar with an acidic medium, grape juice, vinegar, or fermented wine, all staples of ancient Mesopotamia, the immutable laws of electrochemistry take hold. A reaction triggers. Electrons migrate from the iron to the copper. A voltage is generated. This is not a matter of theory, it is a matter of chemistry. The question is no longer, could it work? The question is, did they know? We move from the plains of Mesopotamia to the searing heat of Egypt, to the Temple of Hathor at Dendera. Here, the mystery shifts from the generation of power to the application of light. The Temple of Hathor is a triumph of Ptolemaic craft, a sanctuary for the goddess of the sky and joy. But the true anomaly is hidden from the casual tourist. To find it, one must descend into the narrow, claustrophobic subterranean crypts carved deep into the limestone bedrock. These chambers were never intended for the public. They were archives for the priesthood's most guarded secrets. On the walls of these cramped corridors, there are reliefs that shatter conventional explanation. Etched into the stone are figures supporting massive, bulbous objects. They are oblong, transparent forms, remarkably similar to the Crookes tubes or cathode ray tubes of the early 20th century. Inside these bulbs, a serpent undulates from a lotus flower at the base, stretching the length of the vessel. The lotus is tethered to a long cable-like stem that snakes along the floor into a rectangular box. Supporting the bulb is a jed pillar, a symbol of stability that bears an uncanny resemblance to a high-voltage insulator. To the modern observer, the visual evidence is haunting. It looks like a primitive floodlight. Proponents of the ancient electricity theory see a literal schematic. The lotus is the socket, the snake is the glowing filament, the cable is the power lead, and the jed pillar is the insulator protecting the operator. They pose a practical challenge. How did the Egyptians execute the intricate, vibrant murals within the pitch-black tombs of the Valley of the Kings without leaving a trace of soot? Torches and lamps leave carbon residue. Mirrors can reflect sunlight, but the intensity dies after a few corners. Electric light would be clean, constant, and soot-free. However, we must weigh this against the expertise of Egyptologists who have spent lifetimes decoding the stones. They offer a translation rooted in mythology, not technology. According to academic consensus, the Dendera reliefs illustrate the Egyptian creation myth. The bulb is the womb of the sky goddess Nut. The snake is the god Harsamtus emerging from the primal lotus to birth the cosmos. The cable is the lotus stem, and the jed pillar represents the backbone of Osiris, the structural support of the universe. In this light, the relief is a theological prayer for rebirth, not a blueprint for illumination.
As for the lack of soot, archaeologists point to the use of salt-infused castor oil, which burns with negligible smoke, and the fact that many tombs were painted before being sealed or simply cleaned afterward. The evidence for the Dendera Light remains a Rorschach test, a mirror where we see our own technology reflected in their ancient theology. Yet, the Baghdad Battery returns us to the realm of the tangible. While Dendera remains an interpretation of stone, the battery is a physical object that can be and has been tested. In the decades following Koenig's report, engineers have constructed exact replicas of the clay jars, copper cylinders, and iron rods. When filled with an electrolyte like lemon juice, the results are undeniable. The replicas function. They produce a measurable charge. It is faint, typically between 0.5 and 2 volts, but it is genuine electricity. But what is the utility of a single volt? You cannot illuminate a city or drive a motor. However, you can achieve something else: electroplating. A prevailing theory suggests these batteries were used to coat base metals with a thin, uniform layer of gold or silver. Jewelry from the region often displays a level of gilding that is difficult to replicate with the fire gilding methods of antiquity.
Experimental archaeologists have successfully used Baghdad Battery replicas to plate small artifacts, proving the concept is viable. However, the efficiency is low. It would require dozens of jars wired in series to plate a significant object, and we return to the same obstacle, the missing wires. No connecting cables have ever been recovered. Another theory explores a more esoteric path. Some suggest the batteries were utilized in ancient medicine. In an era without anesthesia, the shock of a mild current could serve as a primitive form of pain relief. The Greeks and Romans were aware of the electric torpedo fish and used its discharge to treat gout and migraines. Is it inconceivable that the Parthians engineered a mechanical version of that fish? A device to deliver a divine tingling sensation to a patient or a devotee? If so, electricity was not a utility, but a manifestation of magic, a celestial force summoned by the priest and contained within the jar. This explains the rarity of the objects. They were not household tools, but the exclusive domain of the elite and the religious orders. We must also confront the allure of the hoax, the human desire to manufacture mysteries where none exist. Consider the Koso artifact. In 1961, rock hunters in California discovered what they believed was a geode. When sliced open, it revealed a cylinder of white porcelain and a magnetic metal shaft. It looked exactly like a spark plug. Because the surrounding strata were estimated at 500,000 years old, it was hailed as the ultimate proof of ancient high technology. But science is patient and ruthless. Rigorous analysis eventually shattered the mystery. The Koso artifact was a 1920s champion spark plug, encased not in ancient rock, but in a concretion, a hardened shell of iron oxide and mud that can form around rusting metal in decades. The Koso artifact serves as a vital warning. Not every anomaly is a revelation. Sometimes a spark plug is just a spark plug. So where does this leave the Baghdad Battery? It is not a spark plug in a rock. It is a genuine ancient artifact with the inherent capacity to generate power.
That fact is verified. The mystery lies in the intent. Did the potter and the smith understand they were harnessing the flow of electrons, or did they stumble upon a specific arrangement of metals that produced a magic sensation, using it for ritual without ever grasping the underlying physics? There is a profound chasm between a phenomenon and a technology. We look at the battery and see the ancestor of the smartphone. They may have looked at it and heard the hum of a god. The absence of wires, switches, and a grid, these are the silences that speak the loudest. If they possessed electricity, they did not use it to conquer the night or power industry. It remained a secret, a curiosity, perhaps a parlor trick for the temple. As we conclude this investigation, we are left with a sense of historical vertigo. We want to believe the past was as luminous as our present. We search for the lost Atlantis or a forgotten high-tech empire, but the truth is likely more nuanced. The Baghdad Battery proves that the ingredients for the electrical age have always been here, resting in the earth, waiting for the right mind to assemble them. It proves that human ingenuity is not a straight line. Ideas spark, they are used for strange, forgotten purposes, and they are buried by time, waiting for a German painter in a dusty museum to find them again. The battery sits in its display case, silent now. The electrolyte has evaporated. The iron has rusted to its core. But the potential remains. It stands as a testament to a path not taken, a flicker of light in the ancient dark. Did we discover electricity, or did we merely remember it? The answer may lie in a crypt not yet opened, or a jar not yet unsealed. Until then, the Baghdad Battery remains a silent sentinel, a question mark of clay and copper, challenging our modern arrogance and reminding us that the past is never quite as dark as we imagine.